Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Just the Tip. And this is your host, LabMonkey, and I have a very special episode to share with you tonight. And the reason it's so special is not just because I'm doing a sequel to the previous episode, which I received some very nice feedback from you guys, and you said that it was very helpful to help you on your journey. So I'm going to do a sequel that was suggested by one of my production staff, which is going to be about how high a character should be reliced and what decisions you should be taking into account when you are choosing which characters to bring up. But that's actually not why this episode is so special. The reason that I'm so excited for this is because I have my wife here, who is going to be making her podcasting debut and also her SWOGA debut. So she does not play this game, but she is going to help me with some of the commentary and some of the finer points that I'm trying to make. And the reason that I thought this would be so appropriate is because my wife has a superpower where her opinions are always right. And some of you other guys who are married may also have wives with this same superpower. So hopefully this will strike a chord with you, and we can have some fun tonight. So everyone, please give my wife Bluemilk a warm welcome, and thank you for coming on tonight. So tell me, Bluemilk, what is your initial reaction to this experience? Why are you so excited to be here right now?
Once you said I could roast you, I was in. That's all I needed to hear.
Perfect. This is shaping up to be a great episode already. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about relic levels, shall we? So relic levels are one of the most important decisions to make regarding your top end roster, not only for GP matchmaking in Grand Arena, but also in terms of general resource management. High relic levels get expensive almost exponentially, and so it's very important to make good decisions when you are relicking, especially when you go past relic level 3 or 4. It starts to get quite expensive, and the opportunity cost starts to get quite a bit high. I remember when I was relicking my very first character, Grandmaster Yoda, and I didn't push him past relic level 3 because I was afraid that I was using too many resources all at once. Bluemilk, do you remember which character you reliced first?
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt, the character that is not in this game yet. Perfect. All right, good. Do you remember what relic level you took him to?
69.
Excellent. That was gonna be my first guess. Okay. So let's talk about the three biggest questions that you should ask yourself when considering relic levels for a character. This is going to be the meat and potatoes of this episode, and this is the decision tree that I use every time I'm considering putting more relic levels on a character. So the first question that you have to ask is, of course,
how do you put more effort into this podcast than any relationship issue we've ever had in 11 years of marriage? Is my question. One.
That's a good question. That sounds like a subjective opinion and may or may not be true. So anyways, the first question that I ask is, how beneficial are the stat gains going to be? And this seems like a fairly obvious question, but it's not. It doesn't always have an obvious answer. So when you're looking at a generic character to relic, you first need to look at what role they have in the game. Are they an attacker? Are they a tank? Are they a support? Are they a healer? These are important questions because when you start looking at what relic levels actually add to them, you can kind of start making an educated decision about how much those stats are actually going to help you in your battles. So, for instance, C3PO. He is an excellent character, and he is a support. He does not do any damage in battle. If you look at relic levels that he gets, they are all, for some strange reason, they are all related to damage. Damage, attack power, critical chance, critical damage. Don't ask me why he gets these relics, but he gets them. So the choice to push him to high relics is a poor one if there are not other factors that need to be taken into consideration, like whether he's required for a powerful character unlock. What relic level is your C3PO?
I don't know, Master.
She doesn't know. Okay. But she is well versed in over 69 million forms of communication. Let's see. So one of the types of characters that gets a significant boost from relic levels are attackers. And attackers seem to be more they seem to get more because it's kind of since this is a turn-based game, attackers need to be able to do as much damage as they can in one blow, ideally before the enemy team has a chance to react. So if you think about all of the annoying characters on the enemy teams that you fight, Jedi Knight Anakin on a Padme team, General Anakin Skywalker on a 501st team, Darth Vader on, any sort of Sith team. These are characters that are extremely annoying to deal with, that you want to deal with quickly because they do so much damage. Those tend to be the winners of relic levels at this moment. Now, CG has talked about possibly CG has talked about changing that up for relic level 9, and that may shift the balance of power and change up the calculus that you have to do. But for right now, attackers seem to be the most important relic levels that you can get for your team. The other obvious answer to this question is, of course, a Galactic Legend. Now, Bluemilk, you know how many Galactic Legends are in the game right now, right?
I am insulted that you had to ask me. Of course I know.
Right. So the answer is, of course, 5 right now. We're waiting on Lord Vader as the release for number 6. So ideally, if you have any of these characters on your roster, they would be Relic 7 or 8. And the reason is because, of course, of the Galactic Legend Unique, which says,
I'm special. Are you?
exactly. I mean, that's exactly what it says. It also happens to say that they gain 10% health and protection for every relic level that they get, which is a huge boost when you start talking about 7 or 8 levels of relics. That's a huge boost in survivability, especially when coupled with the other part of that unique, which says that they basically take 33% less damage. So if you're considering adding relic levels to your roster and you have a Galactic Legend, that's probably the character that you need to look at first, because they just get so much more out of the extra levels than anybody else does. Let's talk about tanks. Tanks are very situational. So some of them are good with extra relic levels. Some of them are not as good. The opportunity cost is maybe a little bit too great. When you see relic level 7 Malik on the enemy team, your heart kind of sinks because of how well he uses those extra stats. Not only does he convert all of his extra health that he gets into, or extra protection that he gets into health, but it makes the The window where he is basically immune to crits and immune to debuffs even larger than it already is. So Malik would be a very good choice to push up to high relic levels. In the same kind of vein, tanks like Kylo Ren Unmasked, who gets a lot out of his unique that is tied to health and healing, and also fives because of the sacrifice. These are tanks that you want to push up to high relic levels. Other tanks like Royal Guard, Stormtrooper Han, these are very, very niche characters, and they are not nearly as good of a choice for high relics as the others. Bluemilk, you look like you're deep in thought, and you have something poignant to say.
I just think that the notes that you have prepared are so incredible, and I cannot wait to pick them up and throw them in the trash tomorrow morning.
Yes, I can't wait for you to do that either. So let's talk about supports. We already talked a little bit about C-3PO. Other supports that would fall into this category would be characters like Thrawn, or Commander Luke Skywalker, good. Piet, or Hermit Yoda. These are characters that mainly get their use out of having speed and their kits themselves, not necessarily by the damage that they can give or receive. And so these characters are almost just as valuable at Relic level 0 as they are at Relic level 7. So my advice is any supports that you have on your roster, relic them to the minimum that you can. Now, obviously, if you think about those names that I just named, almost all of them, actually all of them, are requirements for some powerful character unlock. So CG has been fairly crafty in this regard. They have decided that characters who otherwise would need no more additional relic levels and therefore no more investment from you now are fairly high relic level requirements to get powerful characters. And so they're basically forcing you to spend the resources that are required, even though it's very, very little use inside of actual battle. So that's the main first question that you want to ask, is how beneficial are the stat gains to that particular character? Just out of curiosity, how many stats does Jabba get when he gets to level 69?
I mean, pretty much unlimited.
Unlimited. Wow. I hope I never face anybody with a Relic 69 Jabba. Let's just keep it at that. Okay, so the second question that you want to ask yourself when relicing characters is, what is their place in the meta? In other words, how often are you going to be using this character in Grand Arena and Territory War, and how much of a future proof does their kit have? What I mean by this is if you look at several examples, so say Commander Luke Skywalker, he is an example of someone who gets quite a bit from his relic levels. He's an attacker. He also gets a lot out of the extra survivability. Just really every stat that he gets is good for him. He becomes that much more powerful and annoying. He is also a character that has never fallen out of the meta. Like, you will never see somebody not use their Commander Luke Skywalker. He's that good of a character. So he's an example of good relic investment. In the same vein, Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper is so good at what he does that it is very difficult for me to see him ever falling out of the meta. I mean, CG would have to completely revamp turn meter and the way that it interacts in battles for the trooper team to ever really fall out of the meta anymore. So Dark Trooper is another example of a great investment in relics that will continue to pay dividends. characters that I wrote down that aren't necessarily great relic investments. Let's talk about Padme. Padme used to be a solid A tier character with an A tier team, but she was released about 2 years ago now. And the way that her mechanic works, the courage mechanic, it's great for killing teams that aren't immune to health percent attacks, but more and more we're seeing kits released. And of course, more and more Galactic Legends continue to be released that are not affected by courage. And so Padme is probably going to end up falling out of the meta at some point in the near future. And therefore, I wouldn't really recommend her as a high relic level investment. Now, of course, the caveat is that she's required at relic level 8 for Lord Vader. So if you're going for Lord Vader, then obviously you're going to have relic level 8 Padme. But outside of that consideration, I wouldn't recommend her past like relic level 2, honestly, unless you need her for CPIT. What do you think about relicking Padme? Does she seem like a character that you would want on your roster as your first R8?
I will say that she's the only female character that you've mentioned, so I'm not loving the sexism of this game. Just saying.
All right, we're gonna have to ratchet up the number of female characters that I mentioned here. Okay, so how about Omega though? She's really good, right? Anyways, speaking of female characters, Wampa apparently is a female character, as Operation Metaverse has informed us, and she's actually another character that I would not recommend pushing past Relic level 3. And the reason is because she doesn't have any tags that she goes well with. She's dark side, and she's, what is she, a beast? Is that even a tag? I don't know. But anyways, she's unfortunately not a character. She's very one-dimensional. She does damage. And characters like that are fairly commonplace. And so another character that I would not recommend taking past Relic 3 after you get your Jedi Knight Luke. You look like you have something very important to say about Wampa.
Who named her Wampa? Who did that to their child?
Good question. I guess whenever George Lucas was coming up with the names for creatures on an icy planet, he decided that Wampa would be an appropriate name for a creature that ultimately gets its arm amputated. The last the last question that you want to ask yourself when you are looking at relic levels is this character a requirement for a powerful character unlock? And of course, if the answer is yes and you're going for that character, obviously all of these other things to consider just kind of go out the window. There's not really a good reason to have Relic level 5 C3PO unless you are going for Jedi Knight Luke or Jedi Master Luke, whichever one. It's one of the Lukes that requires him. And then you have to get him. Same thing for Thrawn. My Thrawn right now is at Relic level 0. But if I want to get Sith Eternal, then I have to push him all the way to Relic level 6. That's just kind of how it is. And so that question is, while it's both the most important and the least important question. It's the most important because obviously these powerful characters are very important to add to your roster, and so when you go for them, you're going to have to get them. But it's the least important because there's not really any decisions to be made about it. You have to do it because CG says. Just out of curiosity, what Galactic Legend would you like to go for first?
Any of the badass female ones. So far, all the ones that you've mentioned, you're like, don't relic them up high or whatever. Like, can we get a badass female that we relic up to level 8? I don't know.
Yes. So when I was talking about Galactic Legends, one of the best characters to relic level 8 is Galactic Legend Rey. And the reason is because everything that she gains from her relic levels is exactly what her kit demands. She wants more offense and she wants more health. Both of those things are incredibly annoying when you face one, and so Relic level 8 Rey is probably one of the best relic investments that you can make in the game. So, pro tip, if you have Galactic Legend Rey, then Relic 8 is a good idea. So, with that, I think that is a pretty good note to end on in terms of relic advice. But I do want to give Bluemilk a chance to pass on one more piece of knowledge and advice and wisdom that she deems you all worthy of. So let me go ahead and give her the floor here and let her say whatever is on her mind right now.
I am just so shocked that you have 100 people who will listen to you, and yet you leave your socks on the floor outside the hamper. That is all. I don't know if that means a lot to your audience, that maybe your voice isn't as trustworthy and your ethos is kind of ruined. But again, I will find this paper you've scribbled your notes on our bedroom floor tomorrow. And I'm so glad you are organized and communicative in one aspect of your life. That makes me so happy.
There you have it, folks. What better way to end an episode than that? Thank you all so much for listening to another one of my ramblings, and may the force be with you.